The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us that whoever builds a mosque for Allah, Allah will build for him a similar house in Jannah. And we know the great reward that will not only be gained, but rather will fill your grave after your death. Whenever someone prays there, whenever someone gives shahada in the masjid, whenever someone learns something in the masjid, yes, that will be something that you'll have on your scale.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you guys doing? The servile and subordinate Patrick Bet-David, who is a professional apple polisher and shoe shiner for the likes of Netanyahu, who had him on wearing an ingratiating smile, trying to appease him, trying to humor him, trying to give him what he wants, because he is a servile man, a subordinate, a pathetic, measly individual who's uneducated, actually, Google educated, not just that, but WhatsApp alumni, an individual who is a Ponzi scheme expert. This time he wanted to get someone a little bit more IQ on, a white nationalist, race realist, far-right individual called Fuentes, who I've been trying to get in contact with myself. I have, I've been through Sneeko and through Myron Games and all these kinds of things, and I'm pretty sure he has received the message. And I'm not challenging to obey, I'm not trying to harm anybody, I'm not trying to hurt anybody, I'm not trying to, I just want to talk. I mean, there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a discussion, just a little, we can have fun, we can talk about your white nationalist views, we can talk about immigration, talk about Islam, talk about Christianity, talk about whatever you like to talk about. But it hasn't been a favorable reply yet. Hopefully will be soon. Yet, Mr. Bet-David had this individual on, and this is what he had to say. Let's look at this clip and come back and respond in kind.
Which of the two do you think has been a bigger net positive to America?
Oh, well, it has to be Israel, absolutely.
Okay, so a part about that part.
But, in terms of, I wouldn't say net positive. I would say in terms of raw, maybe like gross positive. Because they've had a lot of contributions culturally and even, in terms of art, literature, music, also scientifically. But it's difficult to say on that because I also think that there's quite a bit of a detriment. I think that the melting pot comes from the Jewish community. What do you mean by that? The idea of the melting pot, that comes from a Jewish playwright. Because Jewish people come to America, and like all immigrants, they say, well, we want America to be more welcoming. So they start to spin up these ideas that, well, America was never this country of white Christians. It's always been a melting pot for all immigrants. They want the country to be more open because that makes it more comfortable for them. It makes it more tolerant for them. But this has also made us more open and tolerant for Muslims, for example. We're bringing, who's been the biggest driver of like the Hart-Celler 65 Immigration Act? It was like the SPLC, which is run by Jewish lawyers. And so they're major drivers of mass migration. They're also major drivers of the pro-Israel politics, like the Iraq War. It was many Jewish journalists and pundits and advocates.
Sure.
So a point being is like when you calculate on net, and I agree with you, like I think there are a lot of people that are critical of Israel that are reluctant to acknowledge the good that Jews do. And I think that Jews they're brilliant. Many of them are brilliant.
So when I'm saying net positive, I'm talking jobs, economy. How often you hear about crime, what they do. Like if you have a choice between living in a city in Minnesota, Dearborn, and living in, I don't know what's the biggest city. What's the city that, Boca Raton, let's just say, right? If you have a choice between raising your family between Dearborn and Boca Raton, where do you choose?
Boca Raton,
okay,
of course,
so the point is like they go to a place. And by the way, to me, if that was Muslims, guess what? I would say Muslims. Mm-hmm. But statistically, wherever they live, it's safer, things are nicer, things get better.
I agree.
And that is one part to measure where they're at. Now, do I see them overly aggressive? Do I see them the type that are going to use politicians and buy them like Marjorie Taylor Greene and other people are saying? 100%. Do I see them, they're going to be there in everyone's DM and email saying, hey, We'd love to support you. We'd love to bring you to Israel and, doing all that stuff. It's obvious. I'm seeing it myself, okay? Do I look at that and shame them and say, oh, you shame on... I look at that and say, no, I wish Armenians would do that. I've never gotten an invitation from Prime Minister of Armenia. He should probably send me an invite to go there, right? It's not a bad idea to come and show the country. I'm Armenian. I'm a Syrian. Syrians don't have a country. It's probably a good idea. You don't see that. You wish others would do that. So for me, as much as when I go into that, by the way, I'll give you one other side that, Israel's going to be like, yeah. This other side to me is I actually do believe they leverage Mossad to get intel. I actually do believe they use blackmail. I actually do believe they do that. So, there's nothing going on with Epstein. No. Michael Wolff did a podcast with him 2 months ago. And when he was at Epstein's house, the 100 hours of recording that he has with him, I said, how many times was Ehud Barak there? Am I saying his name correctly? Or Barak?
Ehud Barak.
Ehud Barak. He said he was there many times. He saw Bill Gates there many times. Why would the former prime minister visit the guy 30-something times? Just because the conversation's great? That's a little bit suspect, right?
So you see in the beginning, guys, he's making this comparison and he's saying, what is more beneficial essentially to America? Who have been more beneficial? Israel, net benefit, or is it the Muslims? Okay, and then Nick Fuentes, he kind of answers in one direction, then he goes back on his word. You'd think that, he's marketing himself as a very high IQ individual, that he'd have a coherent and cogent reply. He's the white man. He's a race realist. He should have, according to him, a greater IQ than all of us. You should know about all these things. I mean, why do you have to keep changing your mind and changing your opinions? Anyway, first and foremost, it's not a neutral standing point in the first place, is it? If you're saying that what's more beneficial to the United States of America, you're not asking a question like, for example, what's more beneficial to humankind? If the assumption is that that which is beneficial to the United States of America is that which is good. And that is a contested assumption for obvious reasons. These are people that came into a country, decimated the indigenous, rendered them subordinates, oppressed them in more ways than one, and through concepts like manifest destiny and westward expansion, took over the entire continent and made it what it is today, which, to be honest, is not a bastion of whatever you think it's a bastion of. An ideal place, a utopia. It's nothing of the sort. It's a place where poverty, relative and absolute, is rife. It's a place where gun crime is repugnant. It's something which is so widespread, but that's another issue for another day. Even notwithstanding all of these false assumptions that undergird your questioning, what you don't understand and what you have failed to grasp because of your pea-brain Ponzi scheme brain can't grasp it, you see. You should have used Google for this one. Is that Israel as a country and Muslims are a group of religious people. And so therefore it's not a like-for-like comparison. What would have been a more sophisticated or normal kind of comparison would be to compare Israel with a Muslim majority country. And if you're talking about Jews anyway, are we talking about their treatment? Because he goes on to talk about where is a safer place, etc., where Muslims are versus where Jews are. Are we including the settlements in that? Are we including the cities that have an Arab population in so-called Israel proper? Are we including Gaza in that, where it was settled until 2005? What are we including in your parameters? So you have to manipulate and shift the goalposts in order to get the answers that you want to get. But even if we, notwithstanding, once again, we give it all to you, no problem. A net benefit when you're doing a cash flow forecast, which is something maybe you're more familiar with, or maybe you outsource that just like you do your masculinity and just like you do your dignity, and you subcontract that. If you had used your mind, if you had both of you used your minds a little bit, then you would have thought, okay, how much does the United States of America give to Israel per year? Oh, they give about 4 billion, do they? Or how many years have they done that for? And is that just what we see? Not including all the weapons they've given them and all these kind of things for all of their escapades when they're attacking a militia and a militant group, and they've been doing so since 2000 and whatever it is. In fact, really, since the 80s, because that's when they were incepted. So is that a good use of your money, the white man, the American, Nick Fuentes? Is that an excellent use of your money? Is that a net benefit for you? Now, I know I have to give you credit. You've been pro-Palestine. a lot of the time, and you have condemned, Israel and all these kind of things. But this kind of answer is pathetic. And we understand what your agenda is. You're a white nationalist and you're trying to promulgate, espouse, or otherwise promote a white nationalist agenda. You're trying to make it look like we're the backwards individuals who are low IQ, all these kinds of things. But once again, if you feel comfortable and you feel safe and you feel confident about those kinds of things, then why don't we have a discussion? We have a discussion. Okay. Once again, I'm not intending to do anything or to humiliate you or this and that and the other. I'm not trying to do it. Don't worry about this. You're in safe hands. Ask Sneeko. I'm a very good, very kind individual. No problem. If you're confident. If you're not confident, then really you should stop speaking about Islam and Muslims. You haven't even spoken to a Muslim who is like, a traditionalist. You haven't even spoken to them. So why do you keep speaking about them and you don't have the courage to speak to them? Well, that's going to be on your record. And that's all I have to say. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hey you, are you wasting your time on social media again? Your brothers and sisters in Islam Net from Norway are establishing a masjid, a dawah center. Establishing a masjid to convey the message of Islam is one of the best deeds a Muslim can do. There's a huge need for it in Norway. You know this and I know this. So that makes the reward even greater. So give generously and Allah Azza wa Jal will give you even more.